Is the 2024 Buick Encore GX a best-kept subcompact SUV secret? Hey everybody, it's Tom from Vehicle Visionary. I hope you're having a great day. In today's video, I'm going to give you the information to answer that question and tell me what you think about this particular model. And there are some changes for 2024 to talk about, and a lot of advantages here. Let's say you were trying to decide between the Encore GX or the Honda HR-V. Well, one thing that definitely separates these two from each other is going to be a little bit more of a modern look, especially in the interior on this model, and the fact that you do not have a CVT or continuously variable transmission. This model has a 9-speed automatic. That's a win in a lot of people's book, at least as far as I can tell based on the comments you leave on a lot of my videos. If you want to know more about this particular model, check out the link down in the description of the video to the Mike Morgan Buick GMC website. That's where I borrowed this model from. And the front end is where we're going to start with the changes. You'll notice the new design with the LED daytime running lights here. We've got more of a winged look, LED headlights, and the all-new Tri-Shield Buick logo. And it may be a little harder to see here, but everything comes to a point when you go from one side or the other side right here into the middle, which kind of highlights that new logo. Also, the overall design of the upper and the lower grills as far as this model goes. And something else that's good here, these models are available in front-wheel drive, but all-wheel drive is optional, and that's what we have with this particular model of vehicle. And speaking of the fact that this Encore GX is all-wheel drive, let's talk about tire and wheel size. Plenty of meat on the ground, 225 on the width, a 55 series sidewall, and in this case wrapped around the 18-inch wheels. Now there are 18 or 19-inch wheels available. And we'll take a quick look at the remote. That is going to have a new design for 2024. It has remote start, and there's that all-new Tri-Shield Buick logo. A nice modern look. Tell me what you think about that logo. And you'll find the body-colored mirror caps with this model. But there is one thing that is missing. In case you are curious, no, it does not have turn signal indicators built into the side view mirrors. I don't know if that's that big of a deal with most people. You will find blind spot monitoring, as you can see right there. These are heated power adjustable side view mirrors. They are manually folding, and you do have passive entry. Not only on the front door, you can see the button right there. You also have that on the rear. So one thing I like to talk about is the fact that for you parents that maybe have small kids and you're coming to the back doors first, you can unlock all 4 doors from the back doors just as you can from the front. A nice sloping roof line, no real changes where that is concerned. We will finish things off with the roof with the rear roof spoiler. And while the rear window may look somewhat narrow, it's not difficult to see out of. And again, some changes back here, minor changes to the rear. We've got the LED tail lights here, and really an overall clean look. The change really is going to be seen right here. Pretty easy to figure out with that new logo, but an overall clean look here on the rear of the Encore GX. Now, I did talk about the fact that this model is all-wheel drive. Let's talk about what's powering what we're looking at today. And one thing I want to make sure to tell you here, depending on if you go with front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive will determine, number one, what's under the hood and what type of transmission you have. If you go with front-wheel drive, you're going to have the 1.2-liter 3-cylinder mated to a CVT or continuously variable transmission. In this case, with all-wheel drive, you're going to find the 1.3-liter 3-cylinder engine. Instead of making the 137 horsepower that the 1.2-liter makes, this one makes 155 horsepower, 174 pounds-feet of torque. It's mated to that 9-speed automatic transmission that I talked about earlier. So in case you were wondering, you're going to have to go all-wheel drive to get that combination. And how about those all-important MPGs? Let's take a look and see. We're looking at 26 city, 28 highway, 27 combined, and 3.7 gallons of gas per every 100 miles driven. That's not too bad. And we'll reach down here and use one of the multiple options to open the dampened lift gate. It's not power, it is dampened, but that's okay. It works just fine. You're not going to have any trouble. 23.5 up to 50.2 cubic feet of cargo capacity. And this cargo cover is basically what this is removable. And you could actually do this, just take both sides right here. This is one of the things you'll have to do to remove it, but you could lay it flat like that. So if you wanted to put something up here, I don't know how well that would stay in place when you're driving down the road, but you could do that. And then to get it out, all you're going to do is basically put your hand up in the front underneath, and you just kind of pop it out of place. Very easy to get in and out. And you'll find cargo lighting right here. Not sure how well that works just because it's not dark enough to tell. But here are two benefits. Number one, you have the floor right here that can be removed completely if needed, or you can actually put it in a couple of different positions right here. But the big benefit is what's underneath. Here's one reason why you might need to remove the floor: to gain access to the spare tire. Yay for the lack of a tire repair kit and a little bit of space on both sides. And let me show you one more thing here that might be of interest in case you're curious. I'm going to lower down this other side here with the floor or the seats to actually show you. Here's how everything looks maximized. A slight bit of an angle right here. It's not too terribly steep. So you're still going to have plenty of cargo capacity. Laying those seats flat is a good thing to help out with that. And obviously you can remove the cargo cover, as we talked about earlier, to help even more. And let's talk about what your rear seat passengers are going to find. How comfortable is the armrest? Well, I'll use the armrest test to put my arm up there. It feels pretty comfortable. I'm not sure how long that would feel as comfortable as it did right there, but there does seem to be enough padding to take care of things. And you have a door bin, really more of a bottle holder than a door bin right here, but enough space to store whatever needs to be stored. And we'll take a look into our interior here. Fold down armrest with the cup holders built in, and then we'll hop on inside. Now, one thing that you might want to take note of is the fact that you don't have rear air conditioning vents back here. In an interior of this size, that's likely not to be an issue. There's not a lot here as far as space goes to cool or heat, but there is quite a bit of space. It might be surprising to some people when it comes to how much room you do actually have here. We will find connectivity options right there, as you can see on the rear of the center console. There is a lot of room back here for your rear seat passengers. It doesn't seem to be an issue for myself. Let me take the sunglasses off the top of my head. I'm 5'10". I have several inches above my head. I am sitting straight up. Now, I know a question some of you like to ask. Do the rear seats recline, the seat backs? Not in this case. That would help to increase space just a little bit, but even without that capability, I don't think it's too big of a deal back here. It just depends on how tall you are. Now, on this particular model, you won't find a sunroof. For me personally, I think that's a good thing, because you don't have a sunroof where the gasket can potentially wear out and it can begin to leak. But what do you think about that? Do you prefer a sunroof or not? And for those of you who are saying, okay, Tom, what is the price of this particular model? This is the preferred trim level, so there are going to be a few things you won't find on this trim level that we would see on, say, the Avenir, obviously the top trim level, but you're still going to find a lot of features for a sticker price of $30,900. And if you want the larger armrest and the larger door bin, or your passengers do, well, they're going to have to fight over who sits here in the passenger seat and the front seat area. Now, the front seat on this trim level, power seat for the driver, manually adjustable seat for the passenger. Not necessarily a big deal, I don't think, but that's what you have. And then we'll take a quick look across the dash, and there is another one of those changes that you definitely will find puts this model ahead of all competitors. It's going to be the new Virtual Cockpit, a total of 19 inches. We'll get to a little bit more of that shortly. I want to finish up this area. Here is your nice large glove box. You can put all the gloves in there that you want. Does anybody actually do that? It's been called a glove box for a long time, but I don't know how many people actually put a glove in there, let alone gloves. 12-volt power outlet and some USB connectivity right here. Now, this particular model does not have the optional wireless charging pad, but that is available. You can turn off the auto stop start feature right here and see everything else that you have. You know what all of that is, I believe. Conventional style shifter, which I know is a bonus for a lot of people. You don't have to worry about a push button shifter here. I know a lot of people, it seems like the majority say, give me the conventional style shifter over the push button shifter. And a little bit of gloss black or piano black finish here around the cup holders. A little bit of space in front of the center console. And while the lid to the center console is fairly narrow, about what you would expect with a subcompact crossover, there's still a nice amount of height. It's not too low. It can still be used as an armrest as long as your forearms aren't enormous, or the drivers are, or whoever's sitting over here one place or the other, because it's not the widest. So unless you want to get real close to somebody, well, you might have to think about whether you're going to use that or not. And at first, it doesn't look like there's a lot of space in the center console, but you can see that that tray is removable, and it does reveal a reasonable amount of space for an SUV of this size. I will also take you up here to the upper console. You can see what all is here. In case you had questions about that, that should be answered now. On the driver's side door, well, everything you would expect here. It's going to have the same features and functionality with the exception of the switches here as we saw on the passenger side door. But one thing that will definitely be different over here on the driver's side, like I said earlier, the driver does have the power seat. Here is the control for the functionality of your lights on the exterior of the vehicle. You can see on one side here, and you do have these controls on both sides for controlling the radio and the volume of the radio. So we'll hop on inside here and go ahead, and we are going to hit the push button start and take our first look at the Virtual Cockpit. Quite a bit going on here. It's a total of 19 inches from one side to the other. It does have some curvature to it, as you can see. And the benefit to that is that everything is angled towards the driver, at least to a degree. But that's good, it's driver focused. So how do we come up with 19 inches? You're going to have 8 inches with the instrument cluster here right in front of the driver. And then over here with the infotainment screen, you're going to find an additional 11 inches. So a total of 19 inches, 8 on one side, 11 on the other. That definitely provides a lot of benefit. And a real simple screen to use. Not a lot going on here. That's a good thing, especially for people who maybe haven't had this kind of technology before. You can go in here and make changes to the vehicle. Obviously, I'll show you quickly what all is here. We're going to go to vehicle next. There we go. Teen driver mode, if you want to turn the rear seat reminder off or on, you can do that. And right here, I like the fact that you can position your hand there. That's what it's for, kind of a little shelf of sorts. And your safety features, there are quite a few here. I'm just going to scroll through these and let you see what's here. Not a lot to scroll through, but that's what we have as far as that goes. You can see that you can make changes there if you want to. Pretty easy to deal with. We can go into a couple of these and then make more changes depending on what you want to do. But the thing about it that I like here is the fact that you have wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. So as far as your pairing of your smartphone to the screen goes, it is done wirelessly. And while this model doesn't have wireless charging, like I said earlier, that is available. You still have your good old-fashioned knob here for controlling the radio, for turning the volume up and down, and turning it on and off. And yes, in case you were wondering, hey, does it come with turn signals? Yes, it does. That's actually a standard feature on every trim level of the Encore GX for 2024. That's nothing new, believe it or not. Contrary to what you might have seen in the past with people who are driving. And over here on the right-hand side of the steering column, well, I haven't figured out anything sarcastic or funny that I can say about the lever to control the front and rear window wipers, but you never know what might happen in the future. Steering wheel mounting controls, there's that new Tri-Shield logo. And one thing I wanted to do here is show you the rear view camera. Now, for those who may not know, that is not optional. That is a standard feature. In fact, as of 2020, I believe it was the year 2020, that was actually supposed to be on every single vehicle produced, and most car makers were way ahead of that. Now, we do have single zone climate control here, but again, In this particular case, I don't think it's a big deal because you don't have a large interior. So you're going to control the temperature on the left-hand side, fan speed over here on the right-hand side. Pretty easy to deal with, pretty straightforward. You have a lot of good technology here, but for the person who's saying, you know what, I need a new vehicle, but I don't want to spend a lot of money and I don't want an overload of technology that's hard to learn, this is a good option. Okay, here we go on our test drive with the Encore GX. And as I said earlier, this model is really perfect for the right person. It's not meant to be a hot rod. It's not meant to be high performance. But one thing about these models, no matter what people may say in the comments section who have never owned something, I know the 1.2 liters and 1.3 liter 3-cylinders may sound like something that wouldn't hold up. But keep in mind, that's the thing. If you drive these vehicles based on really what they're meant for, the engine will last a very long time. So you really don't have to worry too much about that kind of an issue as far as breakdowns and stuff like that. If you go by your local Buick dealership, you'll notice there's not a lot of models of any sort in service other than for oil changes and things like that. But I think people who are researching these probably know all of that. But even at that, this little turbocharged engine still does a very nice job of getting this Encore GX down the road. And when you need to get up and go, it will get up and go. It's going to get up to speed in plenty of time. You can hint for some of you local drivers here in the Shreveport area, you can very easily get up to speed for driving on the interstate. No big deal where that is concerned. You can definitely get up above the speed limit just a little bit. So that's not a problem. Yes, I'm dropping a hint that that is what you should be doing, not driving under the speed limit. Some of you drive as slowly as that bicyclist right there is. Yeah, I just had to take advantage of that because it was there. So as I get on the pedal just a little bit, it is reminding me that yes, this model has enough horsepower. The power to weight ratio is good. The other thing that I know a lot of people are going to want to know about, how comfortable is it? Well, without spending a lot of time in the interior on a long road trip, it feels comfortable to me. It seems to soak up the bumps on the road without any trouble. It doesn't have a rough, choppy ride. It may not be the smoothest thing on the road, but it's also not going to beat you to death. You should arrive at your destination after a long road trip nice and rested, refreshed, shouldn't be worn out from the drive. And as I mentioned earlier, while you have literally the latest in technology from Buick with this virtual cockpit, it probably looks really complicated if you're not used to having something like this in your vehicle. It's not. Super easy to use, super easy to learn, and a very good big city vehicle because it's small, it's nimble, it has a pretty good turning radius, and it definitely will allow you to get into tight spots without any trouble whatsoever. The seats themselves seem to be comfortable. The steering wheel is comfortable. I'm pretty pleased with what I have here. We're not looking at a vehicle that's $70,000 or $80,000. Even some of those can have their issues. Maybe not be as comfortable. Maybe the seats aren't as comfortable. The ride quality isn't as good as you might expect. It just depends on what they are. But price doesn't always determine whether those things are good or bad. It's just, that's why you need to get out and test drive these vehicles for yourself. And that's one thing I like to say. When it comes to the test drive in these vehicle review videos, when we're presenting these vehicles to you, you really need to get out and drive the vehicles for yourself, because you might drive it and say, Tom, you know, you said that it rides pretty well. I think it's a superb ride quality. It's much better than you made it sound like it was. Whatever the case is, get out and drive these vehicles for yourself. It's going to benefit you, but I'll still give you the best feedback that I possibly can. Okay, tell me what you think down in the comments section. Is the 2024 Buick Encore GX a best kept subcompact crossover SUV secret? Tell me what your thoughts are, and tell me why you answered the way that you did. I'm curious to know. Don't forget, if you happen to be interested in this particular model and would like to come into Morgan Buick GMC and maybe buy it, the first thing you can do is check out the link down in the description of the video. And I do want to say a special thanks to my friends at the dealership for loaning me this model for the day. And a special thanks to each and every one of you for being kind enough to give me the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed this video and haven't subscribed to the Vehicle Visionary YouTube channel just yet, please consider doing so. And if you would like to learn about additional vehicles you may wish to consider purchasing, check out the video that's on the screen right now, and I will see you there.